Hello everyone, this is Laura
And this is Mark.
and we are making a video. You might have seen recently that we are dating, and that was on Facebook and Instagram.
You can show him the picture, that would probably be nice.
You might have seen this picture. And so we thought that's nice, but that's still not really introducing Laura, because you don't really get to hear her beautiful voice and things like that. So we thought we'd make a video, right?
Right.
And we have Will the duck with us, who's very precious to us, and we have some questions here, because we thought we'd just send in some questions that we'd like to ask ourselves.
Exactly. So, without further ado, we will. I'll ask the first question. So the first question is, Mark, why are you making this video? Or are we making this video?
Why am I making a video? Yeah, so, well, kind of like I said, introducing Laura to my friends who don't know her, and Laura can introduce me to her friends that don't know me, and because it's kind of harder right now with anti-COVID in town.
We don't want to use that word.
Well, that's why I call her Auntie.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
To make her sound kind of nice.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, we can't travel, so we can't meet you in person that much, and we thought it would be fun for you to kind of hear how we met, maybe, or the process and all that stuff. That was the second reason I just forgot, is we'd like to start a vlogging career, so please give us your thumbs up and subscribe, and maybe we can start making some money here, because
We're gonna need it.
we're gonna need it.
Now they're not gonna watch anymore. They're gonna be like, this is just a money-making scheme.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's not. Don't worry,
It's
guys.
not. It's not. We're probably not that good at making money.
No.
People know us. So yeah, that's why we're making this video.
To introduce you guys.
Introduce you guys.
Yeah.
And a life update, because I sometimes do life updates on my Facebook, and I haven't done one in probably more than a year, and quite a bunch have changed. And Laura has never done life updates maybe on Facebook. Well, I think she did, but
Yeah,
it's also time for a new one.
Yes.
So life updates. So where are we right now, Laura? That's also a good question,
Well,
maybe.
we're in Alberta, Canada. So you might not realize that, because in the picture on Facebook, it definitely looks like we're in Europe.
This is, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely looks like. I got lots of messages being like, hey Laura, what are you doing back in Holland? And I said, we actually have a little mini Holland in Edmonton, surprisingly enough. So that's where
Amsterdam, mini
yeah.
Amsterdam.
Yeah.
So we're in Edmonton. It's minus 25-ish outside,
Yeah.
with lows of minus 36 tonight. So it's lovely and chilly.
Nice and chilly. That's why we're inside doing this
Nice
video.
and chilly, yes. And yeah, so that's where we are. And I got here, when did I get here? December 14th.
Yeah.
And Laura got back from her travels in Amsterdam March, just
March
before
8th, maybe?
just before anti-COVID.
Yeah, I was on the last plane out of
That's right.
Europe.
Yeah.
Before they started sending rescue flights.
Yeah, so Laura was doing some work, and I with her dad, and
Yeah.
I was
Working at the hostel.
working at the hostel, and then the hostel closed because of COVID, and then worked with homeless people, and then gave up my job, or quit my job, / my job finished.
Does bring us to the next question.
Does bring us to the next question, which is for Laura. How did you meet, Laura?
How did we meet?
How did we meet?
That is a very good question. I was traveling Europe, and I was in Holland in Amsterdam. I was in Amsterdam at the hostel that Mark was working at, and I think it was one of your first days working. Like, you had just been there a week or two.
Yeah.
And
September 2019.
my friend Lillian,
Right.
my friend Lillian Pat, she came to visit me at the hostel, and we were both there. Lillian has never met a stranger, so of course they became good friends, and I subconsciously became good friends too. And so throughout my travels, I was traveling for quite a while. I'd leave for a little bit and I'd go to Romania or Turkey or whatever, and then I'd come back to the hostel in between. And so every time I came back, I'd see Mark and we would just hang out. We were good friends. And that's kind of how we met.
Yeah, so I checked you or Lillian in, and I think for me it was nice to meet Canadians because I didn't meet that many Canadians at the hostel, and you were Christians. That was lovely.
And you used to live in Canada, so.
And I used to live in Canada. Yeah, that was kind of what I was going to say. So those were some just like first connection points of like our friendship, I guess. So yeah, that's how we met.
So the next question is, what happened after that, Mark?
What happened after that? So I was working at the hostel. Laura was going back and forth in all her countries and Dordrecht and different places. And we had, because of Lillian, I think we added each other on Facebook the first night. And so we sometimes just texted, and I asked Laura, like, what's new with your travel plans? Or when she would be back in town, she would say like, hey, are you around? Like, let's hang out or something. And there were lots of volunteers there, so it was always like group hangouts and stuff.
We were always just all hanging out together.
And doing stuff, yeah. And but sometimes we wouldn't talk for a month or two. And we were just friends. And then, should we say about the Utrecht part?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
We went for a walk in Utrecht, I think.
Yeah.
And that was, I guess, was that the first time we did something with the two of us?
Yeah, that was the first time.
And
Mark took me for Turkish food, so that was very nice.
Turkish food.
Yeah, and then he laughed at my pronunciation because I pronounced
kapsalon. We had some nice kapsalon.
Yeah, that was really good.
And so we had really good talks, and I think we really connected that time, the first time. But we were like really friends, and every time I tell this, I'm like, no one's gonna believe me, and no one usually does believe me or us that we didn't really like each other. Because during this walk, also we talked about how both of us were single and how we kind of liked our single lives, and we were, or did I mostly say that? You liked your single life
Yeah,
too.
well, I think we both had lived lives of being like, I like being single.
Yeah.
And what we did talk about our relationships, like, well, you hadn't really had one, but our experiences with that kind of thing, and it was actually quite a raw conversation, actually.
Yeah, we talked about porn.
Yeah.
Like how I got free from that and everything. So, and that was
pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
And I remember going home that night or back to wherever I was staying, and thinking, oh, I wish I liked Mark. He's such
In
a
case
good
you
guy.
didn't hear that, she said, I wish I liked Mark.
But we were just friends, and I didn't think there was anything could ever happen.
And I didn't think anything of it either, because we kind of talked, and both of us said, well, we kind of like being single. And the first time we met, I think also Laura mentioned that she was a bit older than me, and I think, and so, and somehow I just thought nothing of it. And also I have just not, like in the last 4 years, I have not been intentional about anything relationship-wise at all. So...
And I was starting to think more like, okay, God, like I would like to maybe get into a relationship. But in my past, if people know me, I was always very like, I wanted to be the flying nun. That was my, it's an old TV show, but about a nun. And I thought that was like the best career ever. Just don't get married and be a nun. So I could definitely like, I understood Mark and thought it was cool.
So then we hung out and we connected, and then I guess we did that a couple more times, but just as friends once again. I think one time we went for a walk with my sister and her friends in Amsterdam, and we had oliebollen together for New Year's, but all in kind of group settings more. And
everybody at the hostel was all just friends with each other. I think we were a little bit better friends than with like everybody else, more because of Lillian, because we had like a group, like we kind of were friends. Yeah, we clicked. Too. Yeah, but it wasn't. It wasn't romantic at all.
So, and then basically then March came, and COVID things started happening, and Laura had to
I'd already
she kind of felt like God said go home to Canada.
Yeah, before COVID even
Before
started.
COVID started, and then you booked a flight, and it happened to be the last flight back to Canada.
Yeah.
And the last night, and the night she flew out, the morning, she was like 4 or 5 a.m.
Yeah.
I happened to work that night too, so the day, well, I checked Laura in basically, and I checked her out, but I didn't really check her in. And then, and we didn't say anything about chocolate. So that last night we had our chocolate together, because I think that's
How we really
90% of how we bonded. Is Tony's chocolate.
Yes. Joost also likes this, my
Yes.
other friend.
And only the
But this
orange
is our
one.
special-
Only
yes.
the orange one.
Yes.
So you might have seen an Instagram video once or twice where we went to the Tony's Museum eating free chocolate. Because both of us like cheap and free things.
Yes.
And we like chocolate.
Yeah. This is specific chocolate. It
The
was very
specific
good.
chocolate, yes.
Very, very good.
So that's 90% of how we bonded.
Yeah.
And the click and the character was 10%.
Yes.
Okay, next question. So Laura went back home. So that's when we split up. Next question for Laura. Who liked who first?
I liked Mark first. So when I got home, we sort of just kept in touch, and Mark is just really good at replying to things. Like, I think probably a lot of you know, like when I would message him, he would like reply to every single thing that I said, instead of just being like, yeah, nice life. He would be very intentional replying. And my friend Lillian also we all would talk back and forth. We had a group message, and Mark and I were also both doing language learning, so we'd do Duolingo, and I would try to beat him every day. So that was quite the challenge. So we would talk about that, like, oh, hey, you didn't do your Duolingo yesterday or whatever. And so we would talk about that, and slowly, I remember one day I was at work, and we do construction in my family, so I was with my dad, and we were slathering mud on walls. And I remember thinking, you know, like, God, like, there is, like, this sort of list that I had kind of come up with of, like, okay, God, if I was going to get married, this is kind of what I would like. And Mark fit a lot of that on the list. Like, he liked people, just a lot of different things. So I was just like, wow.
I'm tall.
That wasn't actually on my list. But it's a bonus. I feel sort of like I cheated all the tall girls. So anyway, I was just like, you know, this why don't I like Mark? And so I remember I went home and I kind of felt sick. I was like, oh, I decided I liked you. But I was like, it kind of like threw me, and I was like, oh no, what did I do? And so after that, we just kept talking, and I kept liking him and seeing just like the good qualities in the character. I think if we're watching this, if you know Mark, you saw what I saw. Just a lot of quality of character and a heart for the Lord. And so we kept talking, and I was like, you know what, I have to be transparent about this, because he doesn't like me, and I'm starting to feel a little bit guilty for kind of liking him and just talking to him. So this went on for probably a month, and then finally I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna tell him. And I really thought it would be the end of our friendship. I did not think he liked me. I did not think, I was just sort of like throwing myself under the bus, basically.
What did your dad and your sister say about telling me?
They said, do not tell him. It's not a good idea for the girl to tell the guy. And I would probably reiterate that, like, it is a hard thing. Like, I think I wouldn't encourage anyone to have done it. But in my case, it worked out well. So I sent him a voice memo, which we could include in this video somehow, maybe.
That's 10 minutes.
Yeah, okay, we won't. But I was basically like, hi, Mark. I know, like, this is gonna feel like a slap in the face. And if I were you, I'd feel really terrible. You didn't do anything. It's not your fault. You were very clear and very good. But I think there's a lot to love about you. And so, he got that message. And then I couldn't take it back because I sent it as a voice memo. So.
And I had to cook that night when I received that message. Are we doing that yet? Did we miss something?
No, we
This
haven't.
one was supposed to be here.
No.
I'm sure it was.
Well, that's okay. We can.
No, that makes more sense.
Okay, so I'll just say what happened next.
What happened next?
Yeah.
That's right. What happened next? I received a voice message, and it was my cooking duty that night. And I was just listening to the voice message while I was cutting my onions, so I was crying already. And I don't think I was cutting onions. But and so I was listening to that, and I heard this voice message, and so Laura started talking about relationship and how she had talked about to a guy that she needed to have a conversation, like defining the relationship, just saying like what's going on, like what is our intentions for this friendship or relationship. And she said, oh, we need to have that conversation too. So I thought, as she was going, like, oh, Laura thinks I like her, and she's saying that's not okay, so we need to talk about this, and you need to stop liking me or we can't be friends. That's what I thought, because Laura, with her beautiful, gentle heart, has a hard time being direct, I guess. And she didn't really say, Mark, I like you. She just said, like, I feel like we have to get this conversation, and I'm really sorry. She said slap in the face, so I thought, wow, she's gonna friend zone me, or something like that. But so I was laughing because I'm like, oh, here Laura is thinking I like her, and I don't like her. So I was just laughing because she couldn't find her words to friend zone me. And then the last sentence she said in this whole voice message was,
I think there's a lot to love about you. Not that I'm exactly in love with you, but there's a lot to love.
Yeah, there's a lot to love about you. And then I was like, wait, did I mix this up? So I listened to the whole voice message again, and then I thought, oh. Well, I didn't think, oh, I thought, oh. That's what happened. So then I was kind of very surprised. And Laura thought I was shocked, but I was surprised. And but I had to cook, so I had a great excuse to say, sorry, I can't reply right now, I need to cook. So I sent a little voice message back, sorry, I have to cook. And she said, okay, fine, great. And she was probably very scared. Is that true?
Yeah, I was a little nervous.
So I cooked, and meanwhile I was praying like, oh my goodness, God, what's going on? This is crazy, because I have had sometimes girls say they like me. And I never thought so much of it, and I was kind of happy being single, so I didn't really do much with it. But with Laura, because she said she liked me, I instantly felt feelings, and I was like, this does not make any sense, because 5 minutes ago, before I heard this voice message, I did not feel anything for Laura. Now she tells me this, and here I am, all of a sudden I feel feelings. This is weird. And so anyway, so then I talked later to Laura, and I said, Laura, I'm really sorry, I'm feeling a little bit, I don't know if you said that, I'm feeling some feelings, and that's okay, but it feels a bit weird, and I really want peace with it, and I was praying about it. And so I said to Laura, I feel like I would like to think and pray about this soberly. I'm not going to talk to you for 2 weeks.
And I was really happy. I wasn't happy, but I had expected a flat no. And so when he said he needed to pray about it for 2 weeks, I was like, okay, I think most girls would be like very upset about that. But for me, it was good because I could process so I could process him saying no, and then even scarier, after I processed him saying no, I could process him like saying yes. That was a little bit more scary. What did I do? And then we could both pray, and by the time the 2 weeks was up, I was ready to keep it going. I didn't want to hear the answer.
And in these 2 weeks, I was talking to lots of people, because I have not been thinking about relationships, and if I do think about relationship, I'm dating, I'm like, well, the only reason to date for me is if you're gonna be married. So then I have to ask some questions about marriage, like why do people get married? Why is this a good idea? Why should you not do it? All these questions. So I was asking questions, I was thinking about it, I was praying, I was reading the Bible, all the Bible's verses about marriage and relationships and women. Looked them all up. And so then that started my process, and I was like, well, I can just say, don't talk for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, I'll have an answer, yes or no, done. And the 2 weeks were over, and then, that's not there yet. Then, so the 2 weeks were over, and then I said to Laura, we called, and I said, Laura, I'm really sorry. I can't really say yes, and I can't really say no, because I thought about it, but I have thought about it without you. And I guess I kind of need to know you a bit about what your thoughts are about relationship and marriage and God and all this stuff before I can say no or yes or no. So then what kind of popped into my head is like, we need to explore this. And what exploring means is asking each other questions, and I can't ask you questions if I don't talk to you.
Yeah.
So we should talk.
Yeah. So that was really nice for me, because I think as much as I really liked Mark, I had experienced guys just being like, yep, you're the one, I like you, blah, 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 and then I get freaked out because you can't know if you like someone right off the bat. You have to know them. And even though Mark and I were good friends and we knew each other like enough to knew his character, I was really like blessed that he wanted to just explore. So the next question on this sheet is what were some of the exploring conversations like, Mark?
So questions. We asked each other lots of questions.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the first things she told me was, this is probably what she'd been thinking about these whole 2 weeks, is, Mark, I'm really sorry, I don't like dogs.
I knew we
Or
really
animals.
liked animals. Yeah.
I don't like dogs. So that was like a deal breaker for me, so I said no.
Then he said, I'm really sorry, Laura, I don't like children.
I guess that
was
is
our
true.
first conversation.
Right. The second question was, do you want kids? And I
Mark
know
said
this
no.
is gonna freak some people out because they're like, what the heck? I said no, I think. Did I?
Yeah.
I think I said children are scary to me.
Yeah.
And
You said it was more holy not to have children, I think is what you said.
really?
Yeah.
More holy.
Yeah, because you can live your life more for God, like you're not being distracted by the little
Well, that's true.
children.
That I still think that's kind of true.
Possibly, I don't know.
Well,
Anyway.
just in that, like, it takes a lot to raise a child. But the thing I'm thinking now too is it does train your character, like, in really crazy ways. So it could be worth it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we talked about kids and animals and boundaries. We talked about boundaries. I don't know how that came up. Probably because of previous. Laura has had 1 or 2 previous relationships. And I had 3 days, that was not a relationship, but 3 days where I kissed a girl, and my feelings went pretty crazy. And so for me, boundaries were kind of important, because that 3 days kind of was nice then, but in the end it scared the heck out of me, because that was my first real encounter with Love is Blind, and or I would say maybe infatuation is blind, and how drunk it makes you, and how irrational it makes you, and how crazy it makes you, basically. So we talked about boundaries, I think, because of that, because I shared that experience with you, and I think I said I don't want to kiss before marriage.
Yeah, and I also didn't want to, so that was
And
nice.
Laura also didn't want that, so that was the first thing we agreed on after animals and kids.
The other two were still.
We weren't agreeing on the other two, but we found something. So we agreed on no kissing before marriage, and also then we also thought, well, what about holding hands? And Laura's mom is a very wise mom, and she had told her daughter one time that if a guy holds your hand, he holds your heart.
Yeah. And then you
Quote
can't think.
Chris.
Yeah, and then you can't think straight after that is the next part of the.
Right. So it has to do with the feelings again. And so we said, then if we're going to be in a relationship, I would like, or in a relationship in general, I would like to not hold hands before engagement.
Yeah.
Right.
So that we could be very rational.
Rational.
Yeah.
Very rational. So it was and actually, oh well, I guess we kind of explained what boundaries are now. But some of my friends might not really know the word boundaries because it's a very Christian word. But boundaries basically means what are you gonna do physically to not go too far or further than you want to go when the feelings hit and the butterflies drag you away.
Yeah.
So we talked about that. And what else?
I know we talked for a really long time that first time. I think my phone died and I had to go get my dad's. I had to run across the field.
That's true. That's when I got your dad's number.
Yeah. That's true.
And
and then Mark, you called my dad and asked him for permission to after we were dating,
no,
I guess.
Was it? Yeah, so we had quite a bunch of conversations about marriage, life and vision, like how we would like to live the rest of our lives and how we think about God and church and stuff like that. And then one night I felt like, wow, this exploring is really cool and fun and good. And I've want to Laura has made a really bold step to tell her she liked me. And it felt like it was time for me to make a step to say, I want to commit to exploring more intentionally. So then we agreed to exclusive intentional friendship.
Yeah.
Thought of by Laura. Exclusive intentional friendship.
Mm-hmm.
AKA dating. / boyfriend, girlfriend.
Yeah.
But that's what we like to,
the definition was.
That was the definition.
Because there's lots of different, like if you say you're dating, there can be all sorts of different.
It can be basically the same as being married to someone, or it can be going to the movies, or it can be.
Yeah, there's so many different things.
But for us, it was exclusive intentional friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked Laura, "Do you want to be my girlfriend?"
Mm-hmm. And then right after that, Mark was really wanting to make sure he was very wise, so he was talking to lots of people, and he was asking like, well, who else could we talk to like together? And I had friends that live in Romania, and they are big proponents of doing not doing counseling when you're engaged, because after you've gotten engaged, you then you've made up your mind you're going to marry that person. Like the likelihood of you walking out is pretty small. They say you should do like pre-engagement counseling. So we started that, and they're very good at asking very tough questions.
Yes, thank you, Peter and Haley.
Yeah,
oh my
very, very good.
Yeah,
they're amazing. I would recommend them to anyone.
Yeah. So they asked us very hard questions. The first question they asked us was basically, why are we having this conversation? And we were like, well, all right, let's get into it.
Okay.
And so then I did talk to your dad.
Yeah.
And I said to her dad, I called her dad I called Laura and I said, can I talk to your dad? And then I said to Laura, please go out of the room. And then I asked your dad to basically say like, hey, I'm talking to your daughter now, and I just want to give you all permission and freedom to if there's any red flags, to let me know. If there's any concerns, let me know. If there's any questions, let me know. Because you are part of Laura's life, and she's under your household, so I want to honor you in that. And
he got tons of brownie points with my dad.
Brownie points.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Lots of points.
Lots of points. So that happened, and then we started, which was long distance. There's not very clear, but there was Amsterdam and there was Edmonton. So we were long distance dating, for asking each other questions for a long time. And my church people gave us this book.
Yes, and you can get it online, which is
cool. You can get
it
online too. So this book is called 101 Questions Before You Get Engaged.
Yeah. And
this is a lifesaver. And it was very nice, because in the beginning I had lots of questions to ask Laura in our exploring. But after a while, I kind of ran out of questions. Also, maybe because there were more butterflies. But I wanted to stay sober and wise, and figure out if this is actually a good idea and not just be carried away by your feelings. So there's tons of questions about this. And I just opened it, and this was one of my favorites. Look at that. What is there about my life and personality that concerns you at this time? And there's lots of good
Yeah,
questions.
they're very well written
Yes.
and very good. And we didn't skip any of them. We
Yeah.
made it packed. Like at first we were like, I don't like this one really. Nope. We're going to ask every single
Yeah.
question. So
What are the
Okay.
questions about me you've always wanted to ask but never have? What are 5 reasons a person would want to spend the rest of their life with you and 3 reasons they wouldn't? One more. Let's see. And it's also very practical questions. What are the various jobs you've held and for how long? What did you like and dislike about each one? Of all the emotions we experience in life, what are the easiest ones for you to express and what are the most difficult? Anyway, lots of questions in this book. We finished all the questions and it helped us to figure out if this is a good idea and think about that. And one last thing we did for exploring was E-Course by Danny Silk. Very much recommended. Laura had already done it twice, so she was not as keen, but I loved it and I learned a lot from it. So those were some things we did in our exploring phase. Counseling, questions, E-Course.
Yeah.
Next question?
Yeah.
I think it's for you.
Mm-hmm.
Laura, what's that ring doing on your hand?
I don't know if you can see it, but we got engaged.
We got engaged.
Yeah. So Mark came to Canada, how many, like 3 months ago now? About that.
Yeah.
And first he went to Ontario, and then I went and visited him in Ontario. We met some of his amazing friends there. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, so we met, we hung out there, and that was very cool for me because I got to see his Canada family, his Canada friends, and meet his sister. His sister lives in Ontario, and he got to meet some of my family, some of my aunt and uncle, and yeah, that was a very, very special time. And then he came here to Alberta, and he's been helping my dad with all sorts of projects and getting to know my family. And so, yeah.
That was not the question.
What's the ring? We got engaged.
Yeah. Yeah, so we got engaged yesterday, February 4th.
Yeah.
So basically that's why we're really making this video, but we didn't want to spoil it too early.
Yeah.
So yeah, Laura's wearing a ring, and it's a nice one.
I should probably tell the story of how we got engaged because that was.
No, we're gonna insert the story here.
Oh.
We should insert the story.
Okay, we're
Because
gonna
that would be
insert this
short.
there, but do not judge me. It was minus 22. Mark had given me gum, so I'm chewing gum in this video,
Not
which
because
looks
we're
very
kissing.
attractive.
Not because we're kissing.
No, we're not kissing. We're not gonna kiss until our
Yes.
wedding day.
But why did I give you gum? I don't know why.
I don't know. He just likes gum. But that day, I randomly decided to also chew gum. And I'm wearing 2 toques, and like I look like a
You
little
already
mini polar
explained
bear.
that.
Yeah, I know, but it's not a very attractive video.
So
But anyway, enjoy, guys.
Enjoy.
Hello.
What happened?
I got engaged. It's very exciting. Mark said he wanted to come skating, and I thought that was a good idea because I hadn't had any fresh air today, so we came to this skating oval in Fort Saskatchewan.
How many people are here?
Nobody was here, and there's so little people that they actually just turned off the lights. But then Mark went and
What's the
told
temperature?
me it's minus 22, maybe more colder now because it's gotten later. I'm wearing 2 toques and 4 coats. But anyway, we came out, and then he said, "Turn around, Laura." And he put all these beautiful candles out and had my Laura song playing and read me a love letter. And now we're engaged. It's very cool and very exciting, and I feel very loved. And I love Mark, and I'm very excited.
We are excited.
So that was the engagement video. We are engaged. Help. And so the next question is, how can you be so sure after 6 months?
Good question.
Very good question. Who sent that in? I don't know who did. How can you be so sure after 6 months? Because 6 months is, well, so it's been 6.5 months basically, but
7.5 if you include the
Yeah.
first little bit.
and we've known each other for longer. But either way,
Yes.
6.5 months of dating and then deciding you're getting engaged is not very long in this world usually. So how can you be so sure, Laura? I will answer that.
Well, I think I kind of have been practicing saying yes for a long time. Because I really, the more I've gotten to know Mark, I think I said this in the beginning, just the more of his character I have learned. And when you trust someone's character, it makes it easy to want to trust them to spend the rest of your life with them.
Right.
So I think I
That's a
just
good
really
answer.
respect how you walk with God and how you love people and what you value. Yeah, I really respect that, and so it makes it easy to say yes.
Wow.
Not easy, it's still a little bit scary, I'm not
It
gonna
is
lie.
still scary. We are still...
I'm a little
we're
bit in shock
We're
still.
still sweating a little bit. Yeah, and I think for me, very similar. And for me, something that was a bit harder was just getting to get a feel for a married life in general, because I was a really happy single. And but I think for me, the book, the e-course, reading Bible, talking to lots of people, asking lots of questions, listening to sermons, those things help me to counseling, those things help me to see purpose in marriage itself. And then why Laura? She's amazing. And we are very similar with lots of things.
Mm-hmm.
I love how she loves people better than me. And
We're both thrifty.
the joy she has in her heart. And she's beautiful. And lots of things. So that also makes me trust, it feels like a gift has been given to me that I wasn't looking for. And maybe it would be prideful to resist it, reject it. So that's how we can be so sure after 6 months. I think we've been very intentional with kind of also seeking wisdom, being sober, and that's part of the boundaries too, is just, I'm not just marrying her for her blue eyes that are beautiful, and because I want to kiss her, because there has to be a little bit more to be able to spend the rest of someone's life, spend the rest of your life with someone.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been a gift, and one really big thing too for me has just been learning about relationship through Laura. I feel like I've really learned very valuable lessons about vulnerability, transparency, humility, communication, connection, all those things. And it's actually teaching me about relationship with other people, because with other friends, if you don't feel like talking to them, you just don't talk. But now if you're together more often, very often, and want to stay connected to someone, then you gotta talk, and you gotta be vulnerable, and you gotta show some ugly sides. And so I'm really learning, wow, if I'm struggling with my mood or with Laura, something Laura's doing, then I actually can feel disconnected unless I share it with her, and we connect over it, and we say either someone says sorry or you just talk about it, and that made me feel wow, anytime I feel disconnected from God, why do I run away, or why do I do things I don't want to do? I need to be humble and transparent and vulnerable and share my heart with God, and then you can feel that connection, and we can do that because of grace. Mm-hmm. And because Jesus has already showed his love to us on the cross, so we don't have to prove that we are amazing and great and not ugly anymore. So we can share our ugly, vulnerable, weak sides with people, and I'm learning to do that with Laura, and because I'm learning that, I can also learn it with other people. So that's been huge lessons for me, and it's teaching me about my relationship with God, and that's giving me peace also for this relationship. And that being said, I did want to make a comment for single people, because I know with Facebook and movies, Hollywood, stuff like that, it's so easy to feel like if you're single, you're missing out, and you're not good enough, or you're not loved, and that's very sad. And I think it can be dangerous, because it can bring you in unhealthy places in your soul. And I don't want this video to stir that in people, like they're feeling like they're missing out. And I actually want to encourage you, if you're single and you'd like to be in a relationship, that's okay. But what I found is, for 4 years I was not looking for a relationship at all. I was just not very interested in it, and I was basically looking into my relationship with God, because I started finding so much purpose in it. And now when I hear back from Laura, the thing she liked about me first was that. And so it's almost like knowing that you're not alone, knowing that you are loved, knowing that you have a relationship with God if you believe in Him through Jesus, and put your trust in Him daily and commune with Him. That makes you more attractive. And I think there's tons of videos on YouTube how to be more attractive and how to get a boyfriend and whatever, stuff like that. But if you are single and you'd like to be in a relationship, I just want to tell you and encourage you, you are loved, you are in a relationship, you can be in a relationship with Jesus, and you can find all your satisfaction and love and everything good in that. And if you embrace that, it will make you way more attractive, and it will bring you into a place of healthier relationships with other people too.
Yeah, and the interesting thing too, like I think both of us really have walked into this feeling like, God, we only want to do this if this is going to honor your kingdom, and otherwise we're okay to stay single.
Yeah.
No matter how many butterflies or whatever, we want you to be first. And we really feel that. And there's no guarantees in life. We don't know how long we will live. We don't know what the world will look like, but we do know our eternity, and I think that is such an important thing to keep in focus.
Yeah, it's a
especially
foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
So,
good.
Mark, we have one more question. You guys can go soon. What's next for
What's
us?
next? We are not totally sure. There's lots of factors. There is anti-COVID. There is parents that live abroad. There is that was one more
Visa
thing.
stuff.
Visas. I'm not allowed to work in Canada. Laura's not allowed to work in Holland. There is border restrictions. Laura cannot go to Holland right now, and if I go outright of Canada, I might not be able to come back in.
So we are praying and walking through this and seeing how it's all going to turn out.
We'll
And
see
also-
what happens.
Also, on the date of this movie being released, I think in Edmonton, to have a wedding, you can only have 10 people, including the priest or president. Or I always call him priest these days. I don't know why. The pastor. So we're figuring things out and praying and sorting through stuff. So we appreciate your prayers, your support, your love. We love you guys. We are looking forward to the day when you can meet, like, some of them you guys are going to know Mark, some of you guys are going to know me, but meet us both in person. You are very loved, and we have you in our thoughts and our prayers, and we really care about you. So thank you for taking the time to watch this, and for loving us throughout our lives. We really appreciate that.
And for all the lovely messages we've had from just people that were excited for us, even when we went Facebook official. So that's been pretty encouraging.
That was beautiful. So thank you again. You, from the bottom of our hearts, we really, really do value. And I know it's for me, sometimes it's overwhelming to try to express that to the people that I have come in contact with and who have impacted my life so much. Like I'm always like, man, I wish they knew. So yeah, that if you're you're watching this, thank you. Thank you for loving and for being you and for seeding into our lives in various ways. We really do appreciate it. So, cheers.
Cheers. Bye.
That was a big piece.